So we're continuing on our study of Daf Yomi. We are now on we're on the bottom of Mem and Bet, heading on to Mem Aleph and Aleph. We were talking about when you say a bracha, welcoming it for Kiddush or Shechianu, for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, whether or not that counts as already something there or not. So I have a story. Nothing. So we're talking about stories about Rabbah when he was a student. So we're continuing on in that vein. So Rabbah Kiviran Be Rav Huna Ibailan Parbe Rav Yati Bataneta Mal Dejavda Mal Shlome. So we were studying by Rav Huna, and the question came up: if a student is in his master's house and they're fasting on Erev Shabbat, so do you have to wait until the end of the day to finish the fast? So Lo B'Yadeh, they didn't know. Atalek Hamed Rav Yehuda, Lo B'Yadeh. And they went and then asked Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda also didn't have the answer. So Rava Nechze Anan. So he says. So then Rava said, let's look into ourselves then. So the Tanya learned right. The Tisha B'Av Shechal Liot B'Shabbat. Techein Erev Tisha B'Av Shechal Liot B'Shabbat. So whoever says so he quotes it's a trigger in a similar case. The case of Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, or if Erev Tisha B'Av falls out to be on Shabbos, you can eat and drink the whole meal, even as fancy a meal as Shlomo Melech used to serve at his peak. No problem. Chal Liot Tisha B'Av Erev Shabbat, but if Tisha B'Av falls out on Erev Shabbos, Mevi'in Lo K'Beitza V'Ochel K'dei Shelo Yikanes HaShabbat K'Shu Mu'aneh. But if Tisha B'Av falls out on Erev Shabbat, we bring him an egg's worth of food to eat at the end of the day, so that he does not enter Shabbos while fasting. That implies that you should not finish the fast. Tanya, there's also another right. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Pamachaditi Yoshvin V'Ner B'Kiva V'Tisha B'Av Shechal Liot B'Erev Shabbatayim. So Rabbi Yehuda says, so one time I was sitting before Rabbi Kiva, and it happened to be on a Tisha B'Av that falls out on Erev Shabbos on Friday. So they brought him a slightly cooked egg, and he swallowed it without salt. So and he didn't do it in order to because he was hungry, rather he did it because to show the students that this is what you're supposed to do. Rabbi Yossi says, Mitana Mashlim. So Rabbi Yossi on the other hand says you must fast and complete the fast. Over land Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said to the other sages, don't agree with me that if Tisha B'Av falls on a Sunday, then one must not be on Shabbos while it is still during the day. Amar Lo Aval, they said true, but, and then he continues, Amar Lahem, so he said to the continues, saying, Mali Likanes Ba K'Shu Muneh, Mali Let's say Mimena K'Shu Muneh. So then Rabbi Yossi says, what's the difference between whether you enter Shabbos fasting or you leave Shabbos fasting? What's the difference? Amar Lo, Imam Marta, let's say, man, you're talking about when Shabbos is over. It's like, no, you can't compare not eating for the time period of Ben Shmasha versus when you have been to the case where you've been eating the entire time. So that is very different from when you've been fasting the whole day and during Shabbos. They're two different states of fasting. Yes, true, both cases you're eating for the last half hour. You're currently not eating. But there's a very big difference in terms of how that fast affects you. Amar Ula halacha Rabbi Yossi, and Ula says halacha Rabbi Yossi. Umiyah did Rabbi Yossi. And who says we halacha Rabbi Yossi? What do you mean halacha Rabbi Yossi? Urminu. So we've got a contradictory statement here. Ain't goes Ritani and Al Sibor Baruch Hadashim Chanukah Purim. You're allowed to have fast days on Rosh Chodesh, on Hanukkah, or on Purim. If you started to fast, ain't masikin today or whatever. That says if you started to fast already, you finished the fast. Amar Rabbi Meir, Aval Pi Shamar B'Gamliel ain't masikin, Modeh Haya she'ain mashlimin, V'chein v'shishab b'av shechal liot b'erev Shabbat. So true life if you'd already fast all these days that you don't interrupt the series, but they don't. But it does not mean that you would complete the fast on one of those days. Meaning you would cut your fast short. So similar to Tisha B'av falls out on Erev Shabbat. Then Tisha B'av Shekali Bear. Shabbat Tisha B'av falls on Erev Shabbat. Therefore, you'd also cut it short. Tanya really did a Braita. Lacharter Tasha Megamliel. Nichlas Rabbi Yeshua Laferet Arav. So Tanya Braita that after Megamliel passed away, Rabbi Yeshua tried to annul the Gamliel's statement he had in regards to fast days. So Amad Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri al Rav Amar Chaze Ana Debata Reisha Gufa Azil. So Rabbi Nuri said, I see that really the body must follow the head, meaning we must follow the opinions of Rabbi Yochanan, the earlier stated authority, and not deviate now that he's passed away. For all Rabbi Gamliel's days, we would have halacha followed him, and now that he passed away, you want us to change that? Yeshua ein shom lecha shekvar nikva halacha Rabbi Gamliel lo haya adam she'ir'er davar klum. He says Yeshua for Rabbi Yeshua, we're not going to listen to you because we already established halacha followed Rabbi Gamliel, and we will not change it whatsoever. V'dorosh Rabbi Gamliel, avuk Rabbi Gamliel, dorosh Rabbi Yossi, avuk Rabbi Yossi. So the Gemara says that that's not really exclusive proof because Rabbi Gamliel was glad they followed Rabbi Gamliel, but in the Rabbi Yossi generation they followed Rabbi Yossi. So therefore, afterward they followed Rabbi Yossi. The Dorosh Rabbi Gamliel, wait, who just said that even during Rabbi Gamliel's generation they followed it? Rabbi Gamliel said. Atai earlier in the Braita, Amar Elazar ben Sadok, Ani Haiti Mibnei Sna'am Shal ben Yamin. So, Rabbi Sadok says, I'm going to send in Av Sadam ben Yamin. Right, and I used to have a family festival on the 10th of Av. One time Tisha B'av fell to be on Shabbos. So it's telling the story that the people in the house of Sna'av used to have a celebration on the 10th of Av, family festival then. So then one time when Tisha B'av fell to be on Shabbos, they were pushed off to the following day, on the 10th, and they decided to continue to not finish the fast because it was a Yom Tov for them. And so, what did they learn this day? Talmud Yom Tov, Erev Yom Tov Mashlimin. So why they didn't fast is because it was actually the Yom Tov, actually the festival. But if it's on the eve of the festival, they would have completed the fast. So Maravina, Shani Yom Tov Shal Divreya, Michal Shumatanin Bo Sha'od, Mashlimin Bo Arabio. Shabbat, Hovim Metanin Ba Sha'od, and Mashlimin Ba Arabio. No, that's not correct because the festival they're referring to is the festival when they used to bring their the fellow Shanav was celebrating when it's their turn to bring Korbanot. So it's not a D'oraita holiday, it's a D'Rabbanan holiday. So on a D'Rabbanan holiday, you can fast for a portion of the day, for part of it. And therefore, you can finish the fast day leading into it. But for Shabbos, that's not the case. If you're not allowed to fast even for a single hour of Shabbos, therefore, we would not complete a fast that is observed on Erev Shabbat. So Amar Rav Yosef, Lo Shmiya Li La Shabbat Tov. It says, I did not hear that from Rav Yosef, so I don't think that's the case. So again, as we mentioned prior, Rav Yosef had fallen ill and had forgotten his learning, so he doesn't remember that such a ruling had been issued, even though he himself may have stated. So Amar Le Abaye, Ata Martin. So Abaye, his student, says, Rav Yosef, you told it to us. Right? Because you told us, we said that you're not allowed to make a fast days on Rosh Chodesh. So you said, true, these are the opinions of Rabbi Meir and that of Rabbi Gamliel. But the Chachamim say you should fast and finish the fast even on Erev Shabbos. So my love Akulu is this applying to all the fast days, even Tisha B'av. Lo, Chanukah Purim. Now they're referring to Chanukah and Purim, that you would complete the fast, but you would not complete the fast as going into Erev Shabbat. It's going to Shabbat. This also makes sense. That it shouldn't apply on Erev Shabbat. These Akul if that applies every single time. Hi, by Mine Rabba Mirav Yehuda, right? Remember, Robin asked me the question, and he didn't get an answer. That means that there's no clear psak, or if there was a clear psak, he didn't give it. So, according to your opinion, how did Darius Marzut from Mishmei Ravuna halacha mitana mashal? The halacha should have been that you're supposed to fast and then fill, and then you're supposed to fast and complete it. Haba minei Rabbi Miravuna lo pajatle. So what is going on here? You're saying that he didn't answer me. Why would he say that if he knew the answer? Elaha mikamidishma halavadershma. No, the question was asked before he knew the answer. It's like in cases when you already heard the answer. Achrami ha mikmedishma halavadershma. The same thing here. This is before Rabbi Yehuda heard Rav Zerul's topic, and here's after he heard it. So Darash, Marzutra, Mishmei Ravuna, Halakha, Mit'an, Mashlimin. And Marzutra made the drasha in the name of Ravuna. The halakha is that you fast and you complete the fast. Hadron Allah call Marvin. So now we finished now we finished the parak. Okay, so now moving on to the next parak. So now we're discussing more items in regards to being removed by regards to Zichron. So the question is, what happens if you have been, so we're going to go through all the cases about what happens if you're removed from your Zichron. Normally when you leave your Zichron, you only get Daled Amos. So the question is, we have all these extenuating circumstances, so we're trying to figure out what happens if you have left the Zichron, and do extenuating circumstances affect what we conclude in the end. So Matnitin, which states, so if you were forcibly removed from your area by non-Jews or by an evil spirit, meaning let's say if you went temporarily insane and then you woke up when you came back to your senses, you're outside the Tzchum, you only have Arba Amot. If you are returned by either by the non-Jews or by your genetic possessed by the evil spirit, then you will also get then as if you never left, you have your original Tzchum from before. So, okay, so that's case number one. Case number two is so if the non-Jews brought him to a different city that had a wall, or they put him inside of a pen or a stable, which meant for animals, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar, Ben Azariah, Omrim, Mahalech at Kula. So Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar, Ben Azariah say you can walk the whole length of the place that you were brought to, whether it be that city or the pen or the jail, whatever it is. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, Omrim, Emo, El Arbama. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva say, nope, you don't get the whole facility, the whole compound, or the walls surrounding you. Rather, you only get Daled Amos. Mazu Shabal mi Palandrasin, Vifligas Finat Tambiyam. So now we got another case where there's a whole slew of Chachamim coming from Palandrasin, and then they landed on Shabbos. And then, they're on the Shabbos, and then they're on the student Shabbos, and then the Tzchum keeps them going farther. So Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar, Ben Azariah, Halchot Kula, Rabbi Shua, Rabbi Akiva, Lozazim, Meir Mosh, Ratzalach, Mer Alatzman. So again, so it happens that all these Chachamim were on a boat, and now it's Shabbos. So Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar, Ben Azariah say the whole thing because if non-Jews take you out of the Tzchum, then you simply then whatever structure you're in, you get the whole. If it's enclosed by walls, you get the whole area. Rabbi Shua and Rabbi Akiva are and then the Lozazim. They didn't leave their Daled Amos the whole time of Shabbos while they're on the boat. Because they wanted to be extra stringent with themselves, not because they had to, but they wanted to. One time they did not quite enter the port until after Shabbos has fallen. So then the Chachamim turned to Gamliel and said, "Can we leave or not? Are we stuck on the boat, or are we allowed to disembark?" So then they turned to Rabbi Gamliel and they asked, "Are we allowed to disembark?" And he says, "Yes, because I was looking and I noticed that we had crossed. That by the time by the time of sundown, we had already been within the Tzchum. Therefore, you're allowed to walk throughout the city even after nightfall, because you were within the Tzchum when night hit." Okay, so now we're going to deal with the Gemara. So there are three things that'll cause a person to go against his will or against the will of Hashem. Elohim, these are the three things. Nofrim, Ruach Ra'av, Dikduke, Aniyut. Okay, so three things make person against their own will, and the will of God are non-Jews, evil spirit, when he goes crazy, as well as maybe when somebody loses their mind as if they're possessed by the evil spirit, and the depths of extreme poverty. So lamai nafkamina. So what is the practical difference from saying? Why is it important to say this? Like, why? Why do you know this? So that you can request mercy from people who suffer from these problems, and that way they won't be subject to being forced to do things against their will. So now we're going to have another set of three. Shlosha and Ram Gehenna. There are three that never that will never face the full brunt of the face of what it is to be in Gehenna, to be in hell, because of the suffering that goes through in this world. Elohim, these are them. Ziktuke, Aniyut, B'choli Me'ayin, V'hareshut. V'yeshamrim av mishesh ishara. So three people will not have so much suffering in the world to come, even if they sin. The suffering they had in this world, they are somebody who had the depths of extreme poverty, those who had an intestinal disease, which is one of the most painful diseases, and those who are oppressed by creditors. And some say even one who has an evil wife who constantly harasses him. So now more questions. Isha Ra Mitzvah Garsha. What do you mean? If you had a wife who's really that terrible, then you're allowed to get a divorce. Like, why are you still married? So the idach is that why is it included? Zimnin de Cuba ta Maruba. Sometimes her Cuba so much money you can't afford to divorce her. Inami, le bani mimena, v'lomatzi megarsha. Or other option is that they already have kids, and he can't bring himself to divorce her. Because he can't take care of them on his own. He needs his wife to help him with that. My nafkamina, what's the difference? L'kabuli be'ahava. The difference between all is that when all these bad things happen to you, you determine to accept them with love, and that God is doing it in order to mechapa for your sins. So if any of these things happen to you, abject poverty, intestinal diseases, creditors chasing you, or a wicked wife, that to remember that these are afflictions that God has brought upon you that will lessen your punishment in the world to come. But again, low landed that we should never ask them for these things. Okay, another set of three. Shlosha mekim Chaim Esaprim Ve'Elohein Choli Me'ayin V'Chayev Hadroka. So three people are likely to die. We'll talk to other people, even though they're seemingly currently very healthy. And Ve'Elohein, and these are the three: those who are sick with intestinal diseases, a woman in childbirth, and a person who's sick with edema. Hydroka which is the Greek word. So, my nafkamina. What's the practical difference? So, why do you need to know these three things? To teach us that if you know somebody's in one of these states, that you may have to quickly prepare shrouds for them, in case they need them suddenly. So therefore, you should have shrouds available. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, Yathladat, so now we're turning back to our original story, talking about Tchumen, no longer talking about these depressing topics. So Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, Yathladat, Eno El Arbamot. So Rav Nachman said, name of Shmuel, if you left the Tchum willingly, you only get Arba Amot. So Pshita is not obvious. Hash to Misha to you, Nachrim Eno El Arbamot, Yathladat, Mibaya. The Mishnah says that if you're forcibly removed by a non-Jew, you only get your Dalet Amot, your 4 Amot, where you land, where you drop you off. So of course, if you walked out willingly, you should get it. You'd be stuck with no more than 4 the Dalet Amot. Rather, what Rahman's statement really was that if you yourself deliberately return to the Tchum after having been removed by the non-Jews, you only have Arba Amot. You can't walk. You can only walk in those 4 Amot, no more. Hanami Tinina, but doing also this from reading the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that if the non-Jews returned, as if he never left. Only if the non-Jews returned him as if he never left. So that implies that only when the non-Jews returned him does that work. But if you had returned yourself willingly, then you only get Dalar Amo. Rather, I want to say when teaching us that if you willingly left the Tchum, and then non-Jews brought you back into the Tchum, then you only have Dalar Amo, because in order for the Gentiles returning you to work, they have to have returned you, both taken you out and also returned you. This also could have been learned out from the Mishnah. The non-Jews removed him and returned him as if he had not left. Again, if they took you out and brought you back, as if you never left, but if you left deliberately, then you also are not allowed to have more than Amot, even if you were forced to return by the non-Jews. What do you have thought? The studying Tani. Maybe we're talking about the case where your forces are taken out, and then right? So what are you talking about? So maybe we misread this. Rather, you should read it in two separate cases. The non-Jews removed him from the tchum for the city from his tchum for the city for Shabbos, and then he returns willingly on his own. He only has Dalet Amot. He only has his 4 Amot from when he returns into the tchum. Aval Yatzal Da'at Yasir Nachrin. But if he deliberately left and then non-Jews returned him, Kilo Lo Yatzah. And then if he had returned, he's never left. So Kumash Malan, that's what we need Rav Nachman to teach us, that if you went out willingly beyond the Tchum of Shabbat, and then you were returned by non-Jews, that you still only have Dalet Amot. That's why we still need Rav Nachman teaching the English. Okay, Ba'ominei Rabba. So then the following question was asked in front of Rabba. Who's Rach on Kavav Macha? What if you need to go to the bathroom? What person who only gets help Dalet Amot is allowed to answer the bathroom? Now, what does he do? Amar Lam. So he says that Kavod Abriya, i.e., human dignity, not having the person relieve themselves in the Dalet Amot, is so important that it even overrides the a lo ta'aseh in the Torah, an explicit commandment against the Torah. So therefore he's allowed to go beyond his Dalet Amot in order to relieve himself. So Amar Naharda, so the Chacham of Naharda said, "I bikeach hu ayil tchuma b'kimah al." So that's why the Chacham of Naharda said, so if somebody is clever, he will, in order to go to the bathroom, he'll make sure to return back into the tchum, and then since he's already entered, and then relieve himself. That because once he's already entered the tchum, he again has the tchum. So now on the note of that nice trick. So Amar Papa Pirish Yatus Muslim Tchum B'Chazru Afil Mezid Lo Yisiru B'Kaman. My time on Usininu. So Papa said regarding portals that take out the Shabbos limit and then later returns, even if it's done intentionally, first down is placed, rather you get the whole area. So my time up on Usininu. Why is that the case that the produce doesn't get its it loses its tchum? Yeah, again, we're now remember the case that items can have its tchum as well. So why do we say that it's not a problem for these fruits? Because they're considered to have had it happen to them unwillingly against their control. When something's outside your control, when you're anus, so then you're not liable for it occurred. So each favor of Yosef, Bar Shmaya, or Papa. So then Rav Yosef, the son of Shmaya, raised questions. Rav Papa objects, saying, Rabbi Nechemia, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Ben Yaakov, Omrim, Lolam Asdurin, Achach Rilon Koman Shogugin. The Shogugin makes it low. So Rabbi Nechemia and Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yaakov said that it's that this produce is you're not allowed to move more than that unless it had been returned by accident, right? B'shogeg. So b'shogeg in only was returned unwittingly, but made it low. But if you did intentionally return it, then it wouldn't be good. So tonight, actually, this is actually a machlokes Tanaim. The Tanya is the one in the Breita. Here shezachul tchum b'shogeg yachelu made it lo yachelu. So Tanakama in the Breita says that produce that's taken beyond the tchum, if it's taken out on accidentally, you can eat it. If it's taken deliberately, you cannot eat it. Rabbi Nechemia Omer b'koman yechelu, shlo b'koman lo yechelu. Rabbi Nechemia argues and says, if the produce is returned and is known as the original place, you can be eaten. But if it's not its original place, you can't eat it. What do you mean by original place? Ella, if you say that it returns to the original place on purpose, so if you wanted to say that you deliberately brought it back to this location, but didn't we learn explicitly, Rabbi Nechemia stated, Rabbi Nechemia realized that Rabbi Yaakov stated that it's always going to be forbidden if you were unless you had been returned to the place accidentally, which implies accidental returns you'd be allowed to eat it. But if you did so deliberately, made it low. If you deliberately had returned it, it wouldn't be no good. So Allah will make sense instead. Bimkoman b'shogeg. Right? Rather than what you say, that it was when somebody said return to this place, it means it must have been done so accidentally. If it's Siri master Hazikani, so rather you must say that it's the same as missing something. Here's what it meant to state. So here's the full version. Perish Yatsu, close to Tchum, B'shogeg Yachil, Meidel Ol Yachil. So this means to say that if fruit had gone outside the Tchum, accidentally you can eat them, but intentionally you cannot eat them. Metzger Memoriam, Shalom Koman. Well, Koman, if you'll Meized Yachilu. So what are we talking about? This is when they weren't returned to their original location. But if you return to the location, even if you had done so intentionally, you can eat them. And then what's not is coming to say that actually only if it had been returned to its location accidentally can you eat it, but if it had been returned intentionally, you would not be able to eat it. Okay, so just to do a quick summary. So we had finished the previous parak, and we're talking about which have been talking about various dinim about when exactly Yom Tov starts and how saying Shechianu or saying Kiddush would relate to having the Shabbos ready. And then we discussed the question about finishing fast days and whether or not they would override the Shabbat. And then when we started the parak, we started talking about cases of tzumin when you've been forcibly removed by non-Jews, when you have as well as when you were possessed by a spirit. Then we spoke about about cases of threes, of bad things come in threes. And some what that nafkaminas those would have halacha ma'aseh, and then we continued on back to the discussion of tchumen about how you would deal with when you were removed from the tchum and how much space you'd have or would not have.